Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Kim from the Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Spotlight Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episode. Now, a reminder before I get into today's recap, if you're enjoying our episodes, we'd love for you to give us 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast, and even share your favorite thing in your review. On Monday, Matt and Micah kicked off the episode by talking about how everyone would love to have a highly profitable, hyper-effective lifestyle practice. But there aren't many people who've gotten to that level, and there are even fewer who are sharing how they run their practice. By them doing this podcast, they're talking about the real stuff and being transparent about their practices. They believe that the more that they share, the better everyone will also get. Matt shared how he was recently on a call with some advisors, and they were talking about communications, and one of them shared that they don't meet with prospects often, and they felt that they needed more practice and didn't know where to get it. But Matt said for him, everywhere he goes and every day is an at-bat. Micah compared this to a professional athlete where they're constantly practicing for those game days. To translate that to advisors, you can look at your game day as once or twice a month for your prospect meetings where you're really showing up with your A game. But if you haven't practiced, then you're just hoping that the conversation goes well, but then you're shocked that you don't get hired all the time. This doesn't mean that you're not a good advisor. It's just that you're missing basic skills to effectively communicate. It comes down to looking at what one skill can you practice everywhere you go. Now, Micah clarified that this doesn't mean that you're selling wherever you're going. That's not the goal. But instead, what's one area of your communication skill set that you need to improve on? And how do you work on that every day? This could be as simple as how do you get someone to smile during your meetings or bringing kindness to a situation. They also said you can look at this the other way around and see how you react to certain situations or how people are interacting with you. So always be watching to see where you feel really important and how to duplicate that. And then also look to see where do you feel rejected in a situation. Matt will analyze this wherever he goes, whether something is positive or negative, and then see where is he doing that same thing in his practice. So getting back to how do you get more at-bats, in addition to observing what other people are doing, you need to be practicing things out loud, which the guys admitted is painful, but you want to know how something comes out when you say it, because something in writing can come out differently when you actually say those words. Or think about how often you say something to someone, but it's not at all what you meant to say. Now, with a prospect or a client, you don't have the luxury of fixing that. You should have a pretty well-rehearsed answer to almost every question that could come up in a meeting, including how to answer a question that you don't understand or if there's a confrontation. They said the problem is that 1, no one practices these skills, and 2, you think that you're going to magically figure out what to say in the moment. The guy said you also need to look at the jargon and terms that you're using. They said advisors can start talking about things to where it makes your clients and prospects feel incompetent or they feel like they've made bad choices. So look to see where you're doing this in your firm and how do you fix that. Matt and Micah talked more about getting those at-bats, and another thing they shared was to practice your body language skills. You can start noticing this everywhere. And once you become aware of that, you can start intentionally using your own body language. Lastly, the guys said that some people claim that sales is really about manipulating people and doesn't add value in financial planning. But they said that no matter what your position is, you're in sales all the time. So you can either choose to be good at it or not. And this can follow you with all your relationships. It really boils down to what's in your heart. And it's about mastering communication and helping clients achieve their goals. Let's get into action items. Create some kind of reminder to look for at-bats for opportunities to observe and master communication. Pick a communication skill that you want to improve and be dedicated to working on it at every opportunity you have. And invest in your team members' communication as they're on the front line of your practice and they're talking to your clients more than you are. Before we continue, remember that at the Perfect RIA, we offer 2 levels of membership. Backstage Pass offers an inside look at what Matt and Micah use in their RIAs working at your own pace. Our Invictus membership is for the advisor who's looking for a more personalized, guided coaching experience and who's ready to commit to doubling their practice. Reach out to us at lifestyle@perfectria.com for more information. On Wednesday, Matt was joined again by Karen Stewart from Belay. Now, from the last time that Karen was on the show, which we linked in Wednesday's show notes, one of the action items she shared was to make a list of all the tasks that you're doing. So they wanted to jump into what some of those tasks could be and how to successfully delegate them. Karen said that at the top of the list would be email, your calendar, and travel. Another area for a VA is that they can come in to streamline processes and procedures or even create standard operating procedures and naming documents. They said a VA can really help you in areas where you're weak and you might be beating yourself up about it, but no one is good at everything. You need to let somebody else handle it, someone who's really good at it and who really likes doing it. And this is likely someone who has a passion for serving and doesn't make excuses. With calendar management, Matt pointed out that this is where there can be a lot of back and forth and you tend to break your own rules, whereas a VA can just handle this and stick with those rules. They know your preferences and when you want to meet. That person can be the gatekeeper and they're watching out for your well-being. Matt also likes to have terminology with Zach, his EA. For example, if he feels he's crossing a line, he can use the phrase, "Can I push back on that?" Because he wants him to feel empowered. And this aligns with onboarding and setting expectations and how you're going to take feedback. Karen said it's just being open in the beginning to learning what the other person likes and their preferences. Another area a VA can help is with your social media. They can help with your posts and calendars. And a VA can also help with setting up your meeting agendas and making sure that you have everything for your meeting, taking notes, and sending out action items, as well as holding people accountable. And for Matt, his VA will even join virtual meetings for the last 5 minutes to say that he's there to take action items and make sure that they're on pace to end on time. So for Matt, it's looking at where he feels he's not reliable. Let's get into action items. As we shared the last time Karen was on the show, make a list of any task you do or any task you think about but you don't get around to doing or that you think you shouldn't be doing. And then consider who is going to take care of those tasks. Text RIA to 55123 to get a copy of Belay's free ebook on virtual assistants and delegation, and also reach out to them to see where they can help you. On Thursday, Jamie was talking about a good friend she used to have, and the reason they went in different directions was because that person just had to show up for every fight and constantly defend themselves. But Jamie believes that just because you get invited to a fight doesn't mean you have to show up for it because the world isn't out to get you. Now, Jamie shared that confrontation doesn't bother her. So when she says you don't have to show up for a fight, that doesn't mean being cowardly, but instead, which fights are worth your time and energy and which are worth fighting for. She shared how she struggles with this for a personal situation where she feels she just has to outmatch the other person's energy. But she knows she needs to check herself and her energy and that she's in control of it. She said, you don't have to get stuck in that cycle. You have a choice. And that this is why it's so important to find your people. She mentioned how sometimes you can go into different groups where people are just trying to show how special they are. But that's so different from what we do here at the Perfect RIA, where we're in the pursuit of perfection, but we know we're not perfect. It's all about finding the right people to collaborate with. And this isn't about AUM and account numbers. Instead, it's about heartbeats. And as financial advisors, you have the ability to impact multiple generations. She said if you're not willing to put in the time to work on yourself, then you're limiting that impact that you're going to have on other people. Jamie said that people are drawn to other strengths, but that doesn't necessarily connect you with other people. But that by sharing weaknesses and connecting over weaknesses, that's what can connect you. That there's a balance that you can have strength and you can also connect with people over weaknesses. She said there's a lot of head trash out there and people feeling that they don't deserve things. But she said, why wouldn't you be worthy of greatness? She said, get a sheet of paper and actually write out why you aren't worthy of this or why you think you're not good enough. And once you write that down, you'll realize how ridiculous it is. And that if there is a situation where you're ignorant on a subject, then just go and educate yourself on that. Jamie said, don't get lazy, don't get tired, don't get sloppy, and don't show up for every single fight somebody asks you to participate in. And don't walk into a room thinking that you have to match somebody else's energy. And don't allow head trash to dominate your future. Let's get into action items. Write out, I can't be successful because. Get it out of your head and then get rid of it because it doesn't serve you. Make a list of your people. You're the sum of the 5 people that you're spending the most time around. And if the people that got you here aren't the people that are going to get you to where you want to go, then you need to go find them. TPR Nation, if you're ready to grow and dramatically impact your life and those around you and want to become a member of the Perfect RIA, reach out to us at lifestyle@theperfectria.com. Remember, if you don't take action to improve your practice and your life and you do nothing, then literally nothing will change. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me, and please share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or team member who you think might benefit from listening. And until next time, happy planning.